All right, let's talk about one of the first, and frankly, one of the most important documents you're going to sign when you start looking for a house, the buyer agency agreement. This is the contract that really kicks everything off, so you've got to know exactly what you're getting into.
So you've done the hard work, you've interviewed a bunch of people, and you've finally found a real estate agent you really connect with. Awesome! That feels like a huge win, but the real official journey starts with this first piece of paperwork. So what does it all actually mean?
Okay, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about the basics, what this agreement even is. Then, we're going to get into the really crucial stuff, who your agent is really working for, the money conversation, and what you need to do to protect yourself. And by the end, you'll be ready to sign with total confidence.
First up, the starting line. Look, this agreement isn't just some formality you rush through. It's the document that officially puts your agent on your team. It sets all the ground rules for how you'll work together while you're hunting for that perfect home.
At its absolute core, this contract makes it official. The broker is now your legal agent, and they are bound to negotiate and advocate for you. The document literally says they have to promote your interests with the utmost good faith, loyalty, and fidelity. That is a really powerful promise, and it's the bedrock of this whole relationship.
Now pay close attention here because this next part is, I think, the most important piece of the whole puzzle. It's all about defining loyalty. It answers that one big question: who is your agent really working for?
Which, leads us right to this. Is your agent always 100%, no questions asked, on your side? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. It completely depends on the type of agency relationship you agree to right in the contract.
So on one side, you have single agency. This is what most of us think of, right? Your agent and their entire company are your dedicated champions. Simple. But things get a little tricky with what's called limited agency. This can happen if you fall in love with a house that's also listed by your agent's firm. In that case, the brokerage has to become a neutral mediator between you and the seller, which changes the game completely.
Yeah, so under limited agency, your agent is basically legally gagged. They can't tell the seller that you might be willing to pay more, and they can't turn around and tell you that the seller is desperate and would probably accept less, not without written permission anyway. They have to be a neutral referee, which means you kind of lose your biggest advantage in a negotiation.
Now, there is another option called appointed agency. It's kind of like a hybrid model. The brokerage picks one specific agent, your agent, to be your one and only advocate. This is designed to prevent those conflicts of interest. It means someone else in the same office can represent the seller, but your agent still has your back. Your loyalty is with a person, not the whole company.
And finally, there's transaction brokerage. In this scenario, the real estate pro isn't an agent for anybody. They're just a facilitator. Think of them as a neutral party who manages the paperwork and keeps the deal moving forward. But, and this is critical, they are not advocating for you. It's all about processing the deal, not giving you strategic advice.
Okay, let's talk about money. It can be an awkward conversation, but the agreement lays out exactly how your broker gets paid, and you absolutely need to understand this part before you put pen to paper.
This line, pulled straight from the legal docs, is in all caps for a very good reason. It says, broker commissions are not set by law and are fully negotiable. They are not fixed. You can and you should discuss the rate with your agent. This is a business deal, just like negotiating the price of the house will be.
So how does it actually play out? Well, first, you and your broker agree on their fee. It could be a percentage or a flat fee, and you put that right in the contract. Then the contract gives your broker permission to get paid from the seller side of the deal, which is how it's traditionally done. But, and this is the really important part, if the seller doesn't offer enough to cover the full fee that you agreed to, you are on the hook to pay the difference yourself.
So the paperwork isn't just about protecting the agent. It also gives you, the buyer, some really important advice and warnings. Think of this section as your personal playbook for making a smart, safe investment.
A document called the Notice to Buyers makes one thing crystal clear. You are in charge of your own homework, your due diligence. Your agent is your guide, for sure, but the responsibility is on you to get a home inspection, to test for radon, to check for lead paint, research the schools, you name it. Don't ever assume something's okay. Always, always check it out yourself.
And this is a huge warning for our digital world. Wire fraud is a massive, massive risk. Scammers send fake emails that look totally real, trying to trick you into wiring your life savings to their bank account. The rule is incredibly simple. Before you ever send money, you have to pick up the phone, call a number you know is legitimate, and confirm those instructions. Never, ever trust wiring instructions that you only got in an email.
It's also so important to remember what your agent isn't. They are an expert in real estate. Absolutely.
But that expertise has limits. They're not your lawyer, they're not your accountant, and they are definitely not your home inspector. For that kind of advice, you need to bring in other licensed professionals.
Okay, so we've talked about the purpose of the agreement, the different relationships, the money, and your responsibilities. Now we can pull it all together so you can take that big next step and sign this thing feeling totally in control.
Let's just boil it down to 4 main takeaways. Number 1, your agreement defines your agent's loyalty. Are they exclusively your champion or a neutral party? Number 2, commissions can always be negotiated. 3, you are the one in charge of checking out the property. And finally, number 4, always, always, always verify wire instructions over the phone.
And the last warning, printed right there on the agreement, might just be the most important one of all. It says, this is a legally binding contract. This isn't just another form. If there is any part of it that you don't understand, the document itself tells you to ask questions or get legal advice before you sign. So now that you're armed with all this knowledge, you're not just signing a piece of paper, you're making a smart, informed business decision. Which leads to the final question. What's the first thing you're going to ask your agent?